42nd Street by Emmy Veronica Sanders. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Matt Perard. 42nd Street by Emmy Veronica Sanders from Poetry Magazine, 1921. I stand and stare. Peace is somewhere. Peace of the big blue spaces. Like fists, the brutal lights on white and weary faces fall fiercely through the livid air. A dull roar rises from the seething places where cold-eyed slaves, driven by cold-eyed masters, 6 million hunted beings dwell. 6 million shapes from a machine-made hell, push past through filth and icy sleet, push down and up and ever up and down the street. God, rid me of these wan, unholy faces. I stand and stare. Peace is somewhere. Peace of the big blue spaces. Somewhere far in the fells I know the aged pines, with heads bent low and folded hands like solemn congregations, receive the silent sacrament of snow. Somewhere the stillness is so deep that you can hear planets and stars gliding through the crystal spaces, clear, burning in the frozen halls of time. I stand and stare at this mad pushing of 1 million feet, at this wild thronging of the withered faces, at this foul nightmare of the street. Somewhere is peace, peace of the wide blue spaces. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Absence by Amy Lowell. Read for LibriVox.org by Shakira. February 2016. My cup is empty tonight. Cold and dry are its sides, chilled by the wind from the open window. Empty and void, it sparkles white in the moonlight. The room is filled with the strange scent of wisteria blossoms. They sway in the moon's radiance and tap against the wall. But the cup of my heart is still and cold and empty. When you come, it brims, red and trembling with blood. Heart's blood for your drinking, to fill your mouth with love and the bittersweet taste of a soul. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Afterwards by Thomas Hardy. Read for LibriVox.org by Ian King. When the present has latched its postern behind my tremulous stay, and the May month flaps its glad green leaves like wings, delicate filmed as new-spun silk, will the neighbours say, he was a man who used to notice such things? If it be in the dusk when, like an eyelid's soundless blink, the dewfall hawk comes crossing the shades to alight upon the wind-warped upland thorn, a gazer may think, to him this must have been a familiar sight. If I pass during some nocturnal blackness, mothy and warm, when the hedgehog travels furtively over the lawn, one may say, he strove that such innocent creatures should come to no harm, but he could do little for them, and now he is gone. If, when hearing that I have been stilled at last, they stand at the door, watching the full-starred heavens that winter sees, will this thought rise on those who will meet my face no more? He was one who had an eye for such mysteries. And will any say, when my bell of quittance is heard in the gloom, and a crossing breeze cuts a pause in its outrollings, till they rise again, as they were a new bell's boom, he hears it not now, but used to notice such things. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Cheat of Cupid, or The Ungentle Guest, by Robert Herrick. Read for LibriVox.org by Shakira, February 2016. One silent night of late, when every creature rested, came one unto my gate, and knocking me molested. "Who's that," said I, "beats there, and troubles thus the sleepy?" "Cast off," said he, "all fear, and let not locks thus keep ye. For I a boy am, who by moonless nights have swerved, and all with showers wet through, and e'en with cold half starved. I, pitiful, arose, and soon a taper lighted, and did myself disclose unto the lad benighted. I saw he had a bow, and wings too, which did shiver, and looking down below, I spied he had a quiver. I to my chimney's shine brought him as love professes, and chafed his hands with mine, and dried his drooping tresses. But when he felt him warmed, "Let's try this bow of ours, and string, if they be harmed," said he, "with these late showers." Forthwith his bow he bent, and wedded string and arrow, and struck me, that it went quite through my heart and marrow. Then laughing loud he flew away, and thus said, flying, "Adieu, mine host, adieu, I'll leave thy heart a-dying." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Coming of the End by Thomas Hardy. Read for LibriVox.org by Ian King. How it came to an end, the meeting afar from the crowd, and the love looks and laughters unpenned, the parting when much was avowed, how it came to an end. It came to an end, yes, the outgazing over the stream, with the sun on each serpentine bend, or, later, the luring moon gleam. It came to an end. It came to an end, the house building, furnishing, planting, as if there were ages to spend in welcoming, feasting, and jaunting. It came to an end. It came to an end, that journey of one day a week. It always goes on, said a friend, just the same in bright weathers or bleak. But it came to an end. How will come to an end, this orbit so smoothly begun, unless some convulsion attend, I often said. What will be done when it comes to an end? Well, it came to an end, quite silently, stopped without jerk, better close, no prevision could lend, working out as one planned it should work, ere it came to an end. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Day of Days by William Morris. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Each eve earth falleth down the dark as though its hope were o'er. Yet lurks the sun, when day is done, behind tomorrow's door. Grey grows the dawn, while menfolk sleep, unseen spreads on the light, till the thrush sings to the coloured things, and earth forgets the night. No otherwise wends on our hope, e'en as a tale that's told our fair lives lost, and all the cost of wise and true and bold. We've toiled and failed. We spake the word, none hearkened, dumb we lie. Our hope is dead, the seed we spread fell o'er the earth to die. What's this? For joy our hearts stand still, and life is loved and dear. The lost and found, the cause hath crowned, the day of days is here. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Fascination by John B. Tabb. Read for LibriVox.org by John Burlinson. Fascination. Among your many playmates here, how is it that you all prefer your little friend, my dear? Because, mamma, though hard we try, not one of us can spit so high and catch it in his ear. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Fie, Foolish Earth by Fulk Greville. Read for LibriVox.org by John Burlinson. Fie, foolish earth! Think you the heaven wants glory because your shadows do yourself benight? All's dark unto the blind. Let them be sorry. The heavens in themselves are ever bright. Fie, fond desire! Think you that love wants glory because your shadows do yourself benight? The hopes and fears of lust may make men sorry, but love still in herself finds her delight. Then, earth, stand fast. The sky that you benight will turn again and so restore your glory. Desire, be steady. Hope is your delight, an orb wherein no creature can be sorry. Love being placed above these middle regions, where every passion wars itself with legions. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Hound of Heaven by Francis Thompson. Read for LibriVox.org by Phil Chenevert. I fled him down the nights and down the days. I fled him down the arches of the years. I fled him down the labyrinthine ways of my own mind and in the midst of tears. I hid from him, and under running laughter, up vistaed slopes I sped, and shot precipitated adown titanic glooms of chasmed fears. From those strong feet that followed after. But with unhurrying chase and unperturbed pace, deliberate speed, majestic instancy, they beat, and a voice beat, more instant than the feet. All things betray thee who betrayest me. I pleaded, outlaw-wise, by many a hearted casement curtained red, trellised with intertwining charities, for though I knew his love who followed, yet I was sore adread, lest having him I must have naught beside. But if one little casement parted wide, the gust of his approach would clash it to. Fear wist not to evade, as love wist to pursue. Across the margent of the world I fled, and troubled the gold gateways of the stars, smiting for shelter on their clanged bars, fretted to dulcet jars, and silver chatter the pale ports of the moon. I said to dawn, be sudden, to eve, be soon. With thy young sky blossoms heap me over from this tremendous lover. Float thy vague veil about me, lest he see. I tempted all his servitors, but to find my own betrayal in their constancy, in faith in him, their fickleness to me, their traitorous trueness and their loyal deceit. To all swift things for swiftness did I sue, clung to the whistling mane of every wind. But wherever they swept, smoothly fleet, the long savannas of the blue, or whether thunder-driven they clanged his chariot toward a heaven, flashy with flying lightnings round the spurn of their feet. Fear wist not to evade as love wist to pursue. Still with unhurrying chase and unperturbed pace, deliberate speed, majestic instancy, came on the following feet. And a voice above their beat, "Naught shelters thee, who wilt not shelter me." I sought no more than after which I strayed, in face of man or maid, but still, within the little children's eyes, seems something that replies, "They, at least, are for me, surely for me." I turned to them very wistfully, but just as their young eyes grew sudden fair, with dawning answers there, their angel plucked them from me by the hair. "Come then, ye other children, nature's share with me," said I, "your delicate fellowship. Let me greet you lip to lip. Let me twine with you caresses, wantoning with our Lady Mother's vagrant tresses, banqueting with her in her wind-walled palace, underneath her azured dais, quaffing, as your taintless way is, from a chalice lucent weeping out of the dayspring." So it was done. I in their delicate fellowship was one, drew the bolt of nature's secrecies. I knew all the swift importings of the willful face of skies. I knew how the clouds arise, spumed of the wild sea snortings. All that's born or dies rose and drooped with, made them shapers of mine own moods, or wailful or divine. With them joyed and was bereaven. I was heavy with the even when she lit her glimmering tapers round the day's dead sanctities. I laughed at the morning's eyes. I triumphed and I saddened with all the weather. Heaven and I wept together, and its sweet tears were salt with mortal mine. Against the red throb of its sunset heart I laid my own to beat, and share commingling heat. But not by that. By that was eased my human smart. In vain my tears were wet on heaven's gray cheek. For we know not what each other says. These things and I, in sound I speak. Their sound is but their stir. They speak by silences. Nature, poor step dame, cannot slake by drouth. Let her, if she would owe me, drop yon blue bosom veil of the sky, and show me the breast of her tenderness. Never did any milk of hers once bless my thirsting mouth. Nigh and nigh draws the chase, with unperturbed pace, deliberate speed, majestic instancy, and past those noised feet a voice comes yet more fleet. Lo, naught contents thee who contentest not me. Naked, I wait for thy love's uplifted stroke. My harness piece by piece thou hast hewn from me, and smitten me to my knee. I am defenseless utterly. I slept, methinks, and woke, and, slowly gazing, find me stripped in sleep. In the rash, lusty head of my young powers I shook the pillaring hours, and pulled my life upon me, grimed with smears. I stand amid the dust of the mounded years. My mangled youth lies dead beneath the heap. My days have crackled and gone up in smoke, have puffed and burst as sun starts on a stream. Yea, faileth now even dream, the dreamer and the lutanist. Even the linked fantasies, in whose blossomy twist I swung the earth a trinket at my wrist, are yielding. Chords of all too weak account for earth with heavy griefs so overplussed. Is thy love indeed a weed, albeit an amaranthine weed, suffering no flowers except its own to mount? Must, Designer infinite, Ah, must thou char the wood ere thou canst limn with it? My freshness spent its wavering showered in the dust, and now my heart is as a broken fount, wherein tear drippings stagnate, spilt down ever from the dank thoughts that shiver upon the sighful branches of my mind. Such is what is to be? The pulp, so bitter, how shall taste the rind? I dimly guess what time in mists confounds. Yet ever and anon a trumpet sounds from the hid battlements of eternity. Those shaken mists a space unsettle, then round the half-glimpsed turrets slowly wash again, but not ere him who summoneth I first have seen, ere wound, and now my heart is as a broken fount, wherein tear drippings stagnate, spilt down ever from the dank thoughts that shiver with glooming robes purpureal, cypress crowned. His name I know, and what his trumpet saith. Whether man's heart or life it be which yields thee harvest, must thy harvest fields be dunged with rotten death? And now my heart is as a broken fount, wherein tear drippings stagnate, spilt down ever from the dank thoughts that shiver now of that long pursuit comes on at hand the brute. That voice is round me like a bursting sea. And is thy earth so marred, sheltered in shard on shard? Lo, all things fly thee, for thou fliest me. Strange, piteous, futile thing, wherefore should any set thee love apart? Seeing none but I make much of naught, he said. And human love needs human meriting. How hast thou merited, of all man's clotted clay, the dingiest clot? Alack, thou knowest not how little worthy of any love thou art. Whom wilt thou find to love ignoble thee, save me, save only me? All which I took from thee I did but take, not for thy harms, but just that thou mightest seek it in my arms. All which thy child's mistake fancies as lost, I have stored for thee at home. Rise, clasp my hand and come. Halts by me that footfall. Is my gloom, after all, shade of his hand, outstretched caressingly? Ah, fondest, blindest, weakest, I am he whom thou seekest. Thou dravest love from thee who dravest me. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
An Hymn to Humanity by Phyllis Wheatley. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. An Hymn to Humanity. To S.P.G. Esquire. 1. Lo, for this dark terrestrial ball Forsakes his azure paved hall A prince of heavenly birth. Divine humanity, behold What wonders rise, what charms unfold At his descent to earth. 2. The bosoms of the great and good With wonder and delight he viewed, And fixed his empire there. Him, close compressing to his breast, The sire of gods and men addressed, My son, my heavenly fair. 3. Descend to earth, there place thy throne, To succor man's afflicted son, Each human heart inspire, To act in bounties unconfined, Enlarge the close contracted mind, And fill it with thy fire. 4. Quick as the word, with swift career, He wings his course from star to star, And leaves the bright abode. The virtue did his charms impart. There, G, then thy raptured heart Perceived the rushing God. 5. For when thy pitying eye did see The languid muse in low degree, Then at thy desire Descended the celestial nine. O'er me methought they deigned to shine, And deigned to string my lyre. 6. Can Afric's muse forgetful prove, Or can such friendship fail to move a tender human heart? Immortal friendship, laurel crowned, the smiling graces all surround with every heavenly art. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
In the Wilderness by Robert Graves. Read for LibriVox.org by Ryan Finch. Christ, of his gentleness, thirsting and hungering, walked in the wilderness. Soft words of grace he spoke unto lost desert folk that listened wondering. He heard the bitterns call from ruined palace wall, answered them brotherly. He held communion with the she-pelican of lonely piety. Basilisk, cockatrice, flocked to his homilies with mail of dread device, with monstrous barbed slings, with eager dragon eyes, great rats on leather wings, and poor blind broken things, foul in their miseries. And ever with him went, of all his wanderings, comrade with ragged coat, gaunt ribs, poor innocent, bleeding foot, burning throat, the guileless old scapegoat, for 40 nights and days followed in Jesus' ways, sure guard behind him kept, tears like a lover wept. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Kitty, a Fair But Frozen Maid by David Garrick. Read for LibriVox.org by Tony Addison. Kitty, a fair but frozen maid, kindled a flame I still deplore. The hood-winked boy I called in aid, much of his near approach afraid, so fatal to my suit before. At length, propitious to my prayer, the little urchin came. At once he sought the midway air, and soon he cleared with dexterous care the bitter relics of my flame. To Kitty, Fanny now succeeds, and kindles slow but lasting fires. With care my appetite Fanny feeds, each day some willing victim bleeds, to satisfy my strange desires. Say by what title or what name must I this youth address? Cupid and he are not the same, though both can raise or quench a flame. I'll kiss you if you guess. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Lochinvar by Walter Scott. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. O young Lochinvar is come out of the west. Through all the wide border his steed was the best. And save his good broadsword he weapons had none. He rode all unarmed, and he rode all alone. So faithful in love, and so dauntless in war, there never was knight like the young Lochinvar. He stayed not for brake, and he stopped not for stone. He swam the Esk river, where ford there was none. But ere he alighted at Netherby gate, the bride had consented, the gallant came late. For a laggard in love, and a dastard in war, was to wed the fair Ellen of brave Lochinvar. So boldly he entered the Netherby hall, among bridesmen and kinsmen and brothers and all. Then spoke the bride's father, his hand on his sword, for the poor craven bridegroom said never a word. Oh, come ye in peace here, or come ye in war, or to dance at our bridal, young Lord Lochinvar? I long wooed your daughter, my suit you denied. Love swells like the Solway, but ebbs like the tide. And now I am come, with this lost love of mine, to lead but one measure, drink one cup of wine. There are maidens in Scotland, more lovely by far, that would gladly be bride to the young Lochinvar. The bride kissed the goblet, the knight took it up, he quaffed off the wine, and he threw down the cup. She looked down to blush, and she looked up to sigh, with a smile on her lips and a tear in her eye. He took her soft hand, ere her mother could bar. Now tread we a measure, said young Lochinvar. So stately his form, and so lovely her face, there never a hall such a galliard did grace. While her mother did fret, and her father did fume, and the bridegroom stood dangling his bonnet and plume, and the bride maidens whispered, 'Twere better by far to have matched our fair cousin with young Lochinvar. One touch to her hand, and one word in her ear, when they reached the hall door, and the charger stood near. So light to the croup the fair lady he swung, so light to the saddle before her he sprung. She is won, we are gone, over bank, bush, and scaur. They'll have fleet steeds that follow, quoth young Lochinvar. There was mounting Mongrames of the Netherby clan, Forsters, Fenwicks, and Musgraves, they rode and they ran. There was racing and chasing on Cannobie Lee, but the lost bride of Netherby never did they see. So daring in love, and so dauntless in war, have ye ever heard of gallant like young Lochinvar? End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Marriage Thoughts by Morsel and Con by Lawrence Hope. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. Bridegroom. I give you my house and my lands, all golden with harvest, my sword, my shield, and my jewels, the spoils of my strife, my strength and my dreams, and aught I have gathered of glory, and tonight I shall give you my very life. Bride. I may not raise my eyes, O my lord, towards you, and I may not speak. What matter? My voice would fail. But through my downcast lashes, feeling your beauty, I shiver and burn, with pleasure beneath my veil. Younger sisters. We throw sweet perfume upon her head, and delicate flowers round her bed. Ah, would that it were our turn to wed! Mother. I see my daughter vaguely through my tears. Ah, lost caresses of my early years. I see the bridegroom, king of men in truth. Ah, my first lover, and my vanished youth. Bride. Almost I dread this night, my senses fail me. How shall I dare to clasp a thing so dear? Many have feared your name, but I your beauty. Lord of my life, be gentle to my fear. Younger sisters. In the softest silk our sister is dressed, with silver and rubies upon her breast, where a dearer treasure tonight will rest. Dancing girls. See, his hair is like silk, and his teeth are whiter than whitest of jasmine flowers. Pity they marry him thus. I would change my jewels against his caresses. Verily, sisters, this marriage is greatly a loss to us. Bride. Would that the music ceased and the night drew round us, with solitude, shadow, and sound of closing doors, so that our lips might meet and our beings mingle, while mine drank deep of the essence, beloved, of yours. Passing Mendicant. Out of the joy of your marriage feast, O brothers, be good to me. The way is long and the shrine is far, where my weary feet would be. And feasting is always somewhat sad to those outside the door. Still, love is only a dream, and life itself is hardly more. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
New Orleans by Lola Ridge. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Matt Perard. New Orleans by Lola Ridge from The New Republic, 1921. Do you remember, honey melon moon, dripping thick, sweet light, where Canal Street saunters off by herself among quiet trees, and the faint, decayed patchouli fragrance of New Orleans? New Orleans, like a dead tuberose upheld in the warm air, miraculously whole. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
No Master by William Morris. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. Saith man to man, we've heard and known that we no master need to live upon this earth our own in fair and manly deed. The grief of slaves, long passed away, for us hath forged the chain, till now each worker's patient day builds up the house of pain. And shall we too, crouch and quail, ashamed, afraid of strife, and lest our lives untimely fail, embrace the death in life? Nay, cry aloud and have no fear, we few against the world. Awake, arise, the hope we bear against the curse is hurled. It grows and grows. Are we the same, the feeble band, the few? Or what are these, with eyes aflame and hands to deal and do? This is the host that bears the word, no master, high or low. A lightning flame, a shearing sword, a storm to overthrow. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ode to Evening by William Collins. Read for LibriVox.org by Douglas Thornton. Ode to Evening. If aught to vote and stop or pastoral song may hope, O pensive eve, to soothe thine ear, like thy own brawling springs, thy springs and dying gales, O nymph reserved, while now the bright-haired sun sits in yon western tent, whose cloudy skirts, with braid ethereal wove, overhang his wavy bed, now air is hushed, save where the weak-eyed bat, with short, shrill shriek, flits by on leathern wing, or where the beetle winds his small but sullen horn, as off he rises midst the twilight path, against the pilgrim borne in heedless hum. Now teach me, maid composed, to breathe some softened strain, whose numbers stealing through thy darkening veil may not unseemly with its stillness suit, as musing slow I hail thy genial love return. For when thy folding star rising shows his palely circlet at his warning lamp, the fragrant hours, and elves who slept in buds the day, and many a nymph who wreathes her brows with sedge, and sheds the freshening dew, and lovelier still the pensive pleasures sweet, prepare thy shadowy car. Then let me rove some wild and heathy scene, or find some ruin midst its dreary dells, whose walls more awful nod by thy religious gleams. Or if chill blustering winds or driving rain prevent my willing feet, be mine the hut, that from the mountain's side views wilds and swelling floods, and hamlets brown, and dim discovered spires, and hears their simple bell, and marks over all thy dewy fingers draw the gradual dusky veil. While spring shall pour his showers as oft he wont, and bathe thy breathing tresses meekest eve, while summer loves to sport beneath thy lingering light, while sallow autumn fills thy lap with leaves, or winter, yelling through the troublous air, affrights thy shrieking train, and rudely rends thy robes, so long, regardful of thy quiet rule, shall fancy, friendship, science, smiling peace, thy gentlest influence own, and love thy favourite name. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain. Book 1, Ode 5, Quis multa gracilis, by Horace, translated by John Milton, read for LibriVox.org by Douglas Thornton. Quis multa gracilis. What slender youth bedewed with liquid odours courts thee on roses in some pleasant cave, Pyrrha? For whom biddest thou enwreathes thy golden hair, plain in thy neatness? O how oft shall he on faith and changed gods complain, and seas rough with black winds in storm unwonted shall admire? Who now enjoys thee credulous, all gold, who always vacant, always amiable, hopes thee, of flattering gales unmindful? Hapless they to whom thou untried seemest fair. Me in my vowed picture the sacred wall declares to have hung my dank and drooping weeds to the stern god of sea. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Open Steeplechase by Banjo Patterson. Read for LibriVox.org by Algie Pug. I had ridden over hurdles up the country once or twice, by the side of Snowy River with a horse they called the Ace. And we brought him down to Sydney, and our rider, Jimmy Rice, got a fall and broke his shoulder, so they nabbed me in a trice. Me, that never wore the colours, for the Open Steeplechase. Make the running, said the trainer. It's your only chance whatever. Make it hot from start to finish, for the old black horse can stay. And just think of how they'll take it when they hear on Snowy River that the country boy was plucky and the country horse was clever. You must ride for old Monaro and the mountain boys today. Are you ready? Said the starter, as we held the horses back, all ablazing with impatience, with excitement all aglow. Before us like a ribbon stretched the steeple-chasing track, and the sun rays glistened brightly on the chestnut and the black, as the starter's words came slowly. Are you ready? Go. Well, I hardly knew we'd started. I was stupid-like with wonder, till the field closed up beside me and a jump appeared ahead, and we flew it like a hurdle, not a balk and not a blunder, as we charged it all together, and it fairly whistled under, and then some were pulled behind me, and a few shot out and led. So we ran for half the distance, and I'm making no pretences when I tell you I was feeling very nervous-like and queer, for those jockeys rode like demons. You would think they'd lost their senses if you saw them rush their horses at those rasping 5-foot fences, and in place of making running, I was falling to the rear. Till a chap came racing past me on a horse they called the Quiver, and said he, My country joker, are you going to give it best? Are you frightened of the fences? Does their stoutness make you shiver? Have they come to breeding cowards by the side of Snowy River? Are there riders on Monaro? But I never heard the rest, for I drove the Ace and sent him just as fast as he could pace it, at the big black line of timber stretching fair across the track, and he shot beside the Quiver. Now, said I, my boy will race it. You can come with Snowy River if you're only game to face it. Let us mend the pace a little, and we'll see who cries a crack. So we raced away together, and we left the others standing, and the people cheered and shouted as we settled down to ride, and we clung beside the quiver. At his taking off and landing, I could see his scarlet nostril and his mighty ribs expanding, and the ace stretched out in earnest, and we held him stride for stride. But the pace was so terrific that they soon ran out their tether. They were rolling in their gallop, they were fairly blown and beat, but they both were game as pebbles. Neither one would show the feather. We rushed them at the fences, and they cleared them both together. Nearly every time they clouted, but they somehow kept their feet. Then the last jump rose before us, and they faced it game as ever. We were both at spur and whipcord, fetching blood at every bound, and above the people's cheering and the cries of "Ace!" and "Quiver!" I could hear the trainer shouting, "One more run for Snowy River!" Then we struck the jump together and came smashing to the ground. Well, the quiver ran to blazes, but the ace stood still and waited like a statue while I scrambled on his back. There was no one next or near me, for the field was fairly slated, so I cantered home a winner with my shoulder dislocated, while a man that rode the quiver followed limping down the track. And he shook my hand and told me that in all his days he never met a man who rode more gamely, and our last set too was prime. And we wired them on Monaro how we chanced to meet the quiver, and they sent us back an answer. "Good old sort from Snowy River. Send us word each time you start in, and we'll back you every time." End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Ozymandias of Egypt by Percy Bysshe Shelley. Read for LibriVox.org by Ryan Finch. I met a traveller from an antique land who said, "Two vast and trunkless legs of stone stand in the desert. Near them on the sand, half sunk, a shattered visage lies, whose frown and wrinkled lip and sneer of cold command tell that its sculptor well those passions read, which yet survive, stamped on these lifeless things, the hand that mocked them and the heart that fed. And on the pedestal these words appear: My name is Ozymandias, King of Kings. Look on my works, ye mighty, and despair. Nothing beside remains. Round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Reminiscence of Mohammed Akram by Lawrence Hope. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. I shall never forget you, never. Never escape your memory woven about the beautiful things of life. The sudden thought of your face is like a wound when it comes unsought on some scent of jasmine, lilies, or pale tuberose, any one of the sweet, white, fragrant flowers. Flowers I used to love and lay in your hair. Sunset is terribly sad. I saw you stand tall against the red and the gold like a slender palm. The light wind stirred your hair as you waved your hand, waved farewell, as ever, serene and calm, to me, the passion-wearied and tossed and torn, riding down the road in the gathering grey. Since that day the sunset red is empty, the gold forlorn. Often across the banqueting board at nights men linger about your name in careless praise, the name that cuts deep into my soul like a knife, and the gay guest faces and flowers and leaves and lights fade away, from the failing sense in a haze, and the music sways far away in unmeasured distance. I cannot forget, I cannot escape. What are the stars to me? Stars that meant so much, too much, in my youth. Stars that sparkled about your eyes, made a radiance round your hair, what are they now? Lingering lights of a finished feast, little lingering sparks rather, of a light that is long gone out. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The River Merchant's Wife, A Letter, by Rihaku. Read for LibriVox.org by Tony Addison. While my hair was still cut straight across my forehead, I played about the front gate pulling flowers. You came by on bamboo stilts playing horse. You walked about my seat playing with blue plums. And we went on living in the village of Chokam, two small people without dislike or suspicion. At 14 I married my Lord Yu. I never laughed, being bashful. Lowering my head, I looked at the wall. Called to 1,000 times, I never looked back. At 15 I stopped scowling. I desired my dust to be mingled with yours, for ever and for ever and for ever. Why should I climb the lookout? At 16 you departed. You went into far Ku To Yen, by the river of swirling eddies, and you have been gone 5 months. The monkeys make sorrowful noise overhead. You dragged your feet when you went out. By the gate now the moss is grown, the different mosses, too deep to clear them away. The leaves fall early this autumn in wind. The paired butterflies are already yellow with August, over the grass in the west garden. They hurt me. I grow older. If you are coming down through the narrows of the river Kayang, please let me know beforehand, and I will come out to meet you, as far as Chofu Sa. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Song by Thomas Moore. Read for LibriVox.org by Shakira. February 2016. Away with this pouting and sadness. Sweet girl, will you never give o'er? I love you, by heaven, to madness. And what can I swear to you more? Believe not the old woman's fable, that oaths are as short as a kiss. I'll love you as long as I'm able, and swear for no longer than this. Then waste not the time with professions, for not to be blessed when we can is one of the darkest transgressions that happen twixt woman and man. Pretty moralist, why thus beginning my innocent warmth to reprove? Heaven knows that I never loved sinning, except little sinnings in love. If swearing, however, will do it, come bring me the calendar, pray. I vow by that lip I'll go through it, and not miss a saint on the way. The angels shall help me to wheedle. I'll swear upon every one that e'er danced on the point of a needle, or rode on a beam of the sun. Oh, why should platonic control, love, enchain an emotion so free? Your soul, though a very sweet soul, love, will ne'er be sufficient for me. If you think, by this coolness and scorning, to seem more angelic and bright, be an angel, my love, in the morning, but oh, be a woman tonight. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Song of the Chattahoochee by Sidney Lanier. This LibriVox recording is in the public domain. Reading by Matt Berard. Song of the Chattahoochee by Sidney Lanier. Out of the hills of Habersham, down the valleys of Hall, I hurry amain to reach the plain, run the rapid and leap the fall, split at the rock and together again, accept my bed, or narrow or wide, and flee from folly on every side, with a lover's pain, to attain the plain, far from the hills of Habersham, far from the valleys of Hall. All down the hills of Habersham, all through the valleys of Hall, the rushes cried, "Abide, abide!" The wilful water weeds held me thrall. The laving laurel turned my tide, the ferns and the fondling grass said, "Stay!" The dewberry dipped for to work delay, and the little reed sighed, "Abide, abide!" Here in the hills of Habersham, here in the valleys of Hall. High o'er the hills of Habersham, veiling the valleys of Hall, the hickory told me manifold fair tales of shade, the poplar tall wrought me her shadowy self to hold, the chestnut, the oak, the walnut, the pine, overleaning, with flickering meaning and sign, said, "Pass not so cold, these manifold deep shades of the hills of Habersham, these glades in the valleys of Hall." And oft in the hills of Habersham, and oft in the valleys of Hall, the white quartz shone, and the smooth brook stone did bar me of passage with friendly brawl, and many a luminous jewel lone, crystals clear, or a cloud with mist, ruby, garnet, or amethyst, made lures with the lights of streaming stone, in the clefts of the hills of Habersham, in the beds of the valleys of Hall. But oh, not the hills of Habersham, and oh, not the valleys of Hall. A vale I am fain for to water the plain, downward the voices of duty call, downward to toil and be mixed with the main. The dry fields burn, and the mills are to turn, and a myriad flowers mortally yearn, and the lordly main from beyond the plain calls o'er the hills of Habersham, calls through the valleys of Hall. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Story by Lalaji the Priest by Lawrence Hope. Read for LibriVox.org by Newgate Novelist. He loved the plant with a keen delight, a passionate fervour, strange to see, tended it ardently day and night, yet never a flower lit up the tree. The leaves were succulent, thick and green, and Cecil, out of the snake-like stem rose spine-like fingers, alert and keen, to catch at aught that molested them. But though they nurtured it day and night, with love and labour the child and he were never granted the longed-for sight of a flower crowning the twisted tree. Until one evening a way-worn priest stopped for the night in the temple shade, and shared the fare of their simple feast, under the vines and the jasmine laid. He, later, wandering round the flowers, paused awhile by the blossomless tree. The man said, "May it be fault of ours, that never its buds my eyes may see? A slip it came from the further east, many a sunlit summer ago." "It grows in our jungles," said the priest, "men see it rarely, but this I know. The jungle people worship it, say they bury a child around its roots, bury it living, the only way to crimson glory of flowers and fruits." He spoke in whispers, his furtive glance probing the depths of the garden shade. The man came closer, with eyes askance. The child beside them shivered, afraid. A cold wind drifted about the three, jarring the spines with a hungry sound, the spines that grew on the snake-like tree and guarded its roots beneath the ground. After the fall of the summer rain, the plant was glorious, redly gay, blood-red with blossom. never again men saw the child in the temple play. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Swimmer by Adam Lindsay Gordon. Read for LibriVox.org by Ryan Finch. With short, sharp, violent lights made vivid, to southward far as the sight can roam, only the swirl of the surges livid, the seas that climb and the surfs that comb, only the crag and the cliff to norward, and the rocks receding, and reefs flung forward, and waifs wrecked seaward and wasted shoreward, on shallows sheeted with flaming foam. A grim grey coast, and a seaboard ghastly, and shores trod seldom by feet of men, where the battered hull and the broken mast lie, they have lain embedded these long years 10. Love, when we wandered here together, hand in hand through the sparkling weather, from the heights and hollows of fern and heather, God surely loved us a little then. The skies were fairer, and shores were firmer, the blue sea over the bright sand rolled, babble and prattle, and ripple and murmur, sheen of silver, and glamour of gold, and the sunset bathed in the gulf to lend her a garland of pinks and of purples tender, a tinge of the sun god's rosy splendour, a tithe of his glories manifold. Man's works are graven, cunning and skilful, on earth where his tabernacles are, but the sea is wanton, the sea is wilful, and who shall mend her, and who shall mar? Shall we carve success or record disaster on the bosom of her heaving alabaster? Will her purple pulse beat fainter or faster for fallen sparrow or fallen star? I would that with sleepy soft embraces the sea would fold me, would find me rest in luminous shades of her secret places, in depths where her marvels are manifest. So the earth beneath her should not discover my hidden couch, nor the heaven above her. As a strong love shielding a wary lover, I would have her shield me with shining breast. When light in the realms of space lay hidden, when life was yet in the womb of time, ere flesh was fettered to fruits forbidden, and souls were wedded to care and crime, was the course foreshaped for the future spirit, a burden of folly, a void of merit, that would fain the wisdom of stars inherit, and cannot fathom the seas sublime. Under the sea or the soil, what matter? The sea and the soil are under the sun. As in the former days, in the latter, the sleeping or waking is known of none. Surely the sleeper shall not awaken to griefs forgotten or joys forsaken, for the price of all things given and taken, the sum of all things done and undone. Shall we count offences, or coin excuses, or weigh with scales the soul of a man, whom a strong hand binds and a sure hand looses, whose light is a spark and his life a span? The seed he sowed, or the soil he cumbered, the time he served, or the space he slumbered, will it profit a man when his days are numbered, or his deeds since the days of his life began? One, glad because of the light, saith, shall not the righteous judge of all the earth do right? For behold, the sparrows on the housetops fall not, save as seemeth to him good in his sight. And this man's joy shall have no abiding, through lights departing and lives dividing. He is soon as one in the darkness hiding, one loving darkness rather than light. A little season of love and laughter, of light and life, and pleasure and pain, and a horror of outer darkness after, and dust returneth to dust again. Then the lesser life shall be as the greater, and the lover of life shall join the hater. And the one thing cometh sooner or later, and no one knoweth the loss or gain. Lover of my life, we had lights in season, hard to part from, harder to keep. We had strength to labour, and souls to reason, and seed to scatter, and fruits to reap. Though time estranges, and fate disperses, we have had our loves and our loving mercies. Though the gifts of the light in the end are curses, yet bides the gift of the darkness, sleep. See, girt with tempest and winged with thunder, and clad with lightning and shod with sleet, the strong winds treading the swift waves sunder, the flying rollers with frothy feet. One gleam like a bloodshot sword blade swims on, the skyline staining the green gulf crimson, a death stroke fiercely dealt by a dim sun, that strikes through his stormy winding sheet. Oh, brave white horses, you gather and gallop, the storm sprite loosens the gusty reins. Now the stoutest ship were the frailest shallop, in your hollow backs or your high-arched mains. I would ride as never a man has ridden, in your sleepy, swirling surges hidden, to gulfs foreshadowed through straits forbidden, where no light wearies and no love wanes. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
Till all the bad things came untrue, by Henry Lawson. Read for LibriVox.org by Son of the Exiles. Till all the bad things came untrue. By black soil plains burnt grey with drought, where desert shrubs and grasses grow, along the land of furthest out, that only overlanders know, I dreamed I camped on river grass, in bends where river timber grew. I dreamed the days to pass, till all the bad things came untrue. I dreamed that I was young again, but was not young as I had been. My path through life seemed fair and plain, my sight and hearing clear and keen. No longer bent nor lined and grey, I met and loved and worshipped you. I dreamed the days away, till all the sad things came untrue. I dreamed a home of freestone stood, with toned tiled roofs as roofs should be, by cliff and fall and beach and wood, with wide verandas to the sea. I dreamed a hale good man and wife, with sons and daughters well to do, lived there the glorious old home life, and all the mad things were untrue. From black soil plains burnt bare with drought, where years are sown that never grow, from dead grey creeks of dreams and drought, through black-ridged wastes of weirdest woe, I tramped and camped with fearsome fare, until the seascape came in view, and lo, the home lay smiling there, and all the bad things were untrue. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
To the Muse of the North by William Morris. Read for LibriVox.org by Bruce Kachuk. O Muse, that swayest the sad northern song, thy right hand full of smiting and of wrong, thy left hand holding pity, and thy breast heaving with hope of that so certain rest. Thou, with the grey eyes, kind and unafraid, the soft lips trembling not, though they have said the doom of the world, and those that dwell therein, the lips that smile not, though thy children win the fated love that draws the fated death. Oh, borne adown the fresh stream of thy breath, let some word reach my ears and touch my heart, that, if it may be, I may have a part in that great sorrow of thy children dead, that vex the brow, and bowed adown the head, whitened the hair, made life a wondrous dream, and death the murmur of a restful stream, but left no stain upon those souls of thine, whose greatness through the tangled world doth shine. O mother, and love, and sister, all in one, come thou, for sure I am enough alone that thou thine arms about my heart shouldst throw, and wrap me in the grief of long ago. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.
The Troubadour by W.S. Gilbert. Read for LibriVox.org by Sonia. The Troubadour. A troubadour he played without a castle wall. Within, a hapless maid responded to his call. "Oh, willow, woe is me! Alack and well a day! If I were only free, I'd hide me far away." Unknown her face and name, but this he knew right well, the maiden's wailing came from out a dungeon cell. A hapless woman lay within that dungeon grim, that fact, I've heard him say, was quite enough for him. "I will not sit or lie, or eat or drink, I vow, till thou art free as I, or I as pent as thou." Her tears then ceased to flow, her wails no longer rang, and tuneful in her woe the prison maiden sang. "O stranger, as you play, I recognize your touch, and all that I can say is, thank you very much." He seized his clarion straight, and blew thereat until a warden oped the gate. "Oh, what might be your will?" "I've come, sir knave, to see the master of these halls. A maid unwillingly lies prisoned in their walls." With barely stifled sigh that porter drooped his head, with teardrops in his eye. "A many, sir," he said. He stayed to hear no more, but pushed that porter by, and shortly stood before Sir Hugh the Peckham Rye. Sir Hugh he darkly frowned. "What would you, sir, with me?" The troubadour he downed upon his bended knee. "I've come, the Peckham Rye, to do a Christian task. You ask me what would I? It is not much I ask. Release these maidens, sir, whom you dominion o'er, particularly her upon the second floor. And if you don't, my lord," he here stood bolt upright, and tapped a tailor's sword, "come out, you cad, and fight." Sir Hugh he called, and ran the warden from the gate. "Go, show this gentleman the maid in 48." By many a cell they passed, and stopped at length before A portal, bolted fast. The man unlocked the door. He called inside the gate with coarse and brutal shout, "Come, step it, 48." And 48 stepped out. "They gets it pretty hot, the maidens what we cotch. 2 years this lady's got for collaring a watch." "Oh, ah, indeed, I see," the troubadour exclaimed. "If I may make so free, how is this castle named?" The warden's eyelids fill, and sighing, he replied, "Of gloomy Pentonville, this is the female side." The minstrel did not wait the warden stout to thank, but recollected straight he'd business at the bank. End of poem. This recording is in the public domain.